I think Scott would tell you that the story went something like from Mike to Scott, like, hey, we're going to do plumbing and you're in charge of it now. And I think I had been here all of, maybe a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And so for us, it was, we jumped into a certain path and we were like, what does the price book look like? What do you charge for a trip charge? How do you, and so he was the guy who did all of the work in the background to look at pricing and what parts do we need? What do we need to stock? I had the easy task of deciding how many plumbers do we want? You know what I mean? And where do we want to go? You know what I mean? So Scott and I's relationship is great in that we get to play off of each other and that we know what each other's strengths are. We know what each other's weaknesses are. I'm not a trades guy normally. Now I'm, about 3 years in and I know a tremendous amount, but
Sure.
it's because Scott had to tell me that that was the wrong way to do it. And here's the right way to do it so many times. But, I would push him on kind of where we need to go from the customer's perspective, like what we're hearing in the home, what our technicians, how do we get here? How do we get here? And Scott would always say, hey, we can do it. It's going to take time. But he's the guy who, really put the boundaries in place and figured out how to do it. And then him and I were, talking on a daily basis, but we wanted all of our club members to have the same experience with plumbing that they have with our HVAC service technicians. And that's really, really difficult to do. So first and foremost for us, it took us probably a year to find a master plumber who fit the bill, who was cool with wearing a white button-down shirt and black pants and a black belt and black boots and had an impact imaging statement and wanted to be a part of it, wanted to help us grow it. And I mean, he's probably one of the few people that we hired with experience.
Yeah.
Because it was easier for us to hire guys with the right core values and the right attitude. And we taught them. We started with water heaters and we've got 6 probably apprentices now that are just, I don't want to say they're hanging out. So, but
Yeah.
that's
Learning.
what we found was successful. We did hire some guys that had experience and it was really difficult for us to get them to fall into how we wanted to run our business the way we did on the HVAC side. So yeah, Scott was the driver. I was kind of the visionary. But I mean,
Let me ask you this real quick, because I think this is an important point I want to point out for people is when Scott was given this role, what was he doing previously? Was he managing service or install, or was he operations manager over everything?
So Scott recently, just in the last 2 weeks, got promoted to director of operations.
Yeah.
Prior to that, he was the operations manager overseeing kind of all things operations, but just in the last little bit, we formalized some roles for some men in our organization who became branch managers of our satellite locations to better take care of our team members that were there. And what I mean by that is we had grown those branches to such an extent that they deserve to have somebody who was going to be there each and every day.
Yeah.
And prior to that, they were all reporting to somebody who was at kind of our centralized hub, which was great, but I don't think we would have been able to continue to grow if they didn't have the support and the resources that they needed in their location. So at the time Scott got plumbing, he was the service manager, but then when we got a master plumber in, he learned how to do things a Vredebold way for about 10 months. Then we pulled him out of the field, made him a plumbing manager. He reported to Scott. Scott now got promoted, and now my plumbing manager reports to my Grand Rapids branch manager, and then kind of dotted line to Scott so that he can oversee everything.
I think, that's amazing. The patience you have. And I think that's what the point I want to try to get across to people. So often they get into new trades and like, we're going to start answering plumbing calls tomorrow. I just hired a plumber yesterday. We're just going to go do it. And you're like, holy cow, that can blow up so fast. But what you did is you gave Scott the ability to kind of step away from the HVAC side a bit, focus really on plumbing. Do it the right way. Find the plumber, onboard the plumber the right way. And so as he did that, the HVAC side was okay because you had other leaders to step in his place and run.
Yep.
So that's the way you got to do it. And it's going to cost you some money up front, but that cost is an investment just to launch a new division.
Yeah, double your training budget, guys.